Another big topic that came up in the Bernie Sanders town hall was Donald Trump and his supporters. How do you beat him? How do you win them over? And so first, how is he going to deal with Donald Trump on the debate stage?
If you're the Democratic presidential nominee and you're on the debate stage with President Trump, how will you engage with him?
Well, we'll bring a lie detector along. And every time he lies, it goes beep. That would be the first thing. But I think the fraud that Trump is, the pathological liar that he is, has to be exposed. So we are going to hold him accountable for what he said and for what he did. He said he was going to provide health care to everybody. And then he proposes to throw 32 million people off the health care that they have. He said, you all remember, he said, I'm a different type of Republican. I'm not going to cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. And he brings forward a budget that does just that.
So obviously the line about the lie detector was great, although he later said, I am worried about artificial intelligence in the lie detector. Who's it actually working for? But no, that's good. Look, my position now on calling out Trump's lies has become a little bit more nuanced because I have been beaten down for years by how little people care about whether things are true or whether they're false. So look, I think we should continue to fact check him. We should continue to call out when he lies, and we should do so even though it is unlikely to matter to a significant chunk of the population. They just don't care. They've been lied to literally thousands of times by Donald Trump, and they love him all the more with every lie. But we should still call it out. And importantly, it's not just when he gets a fact wrong, it's when he lies to his own base, to his own voters about extremely the most consequential policies. So if they end up losing their health care when he promises that they'll actually get increased access to health care, then that needs to be pointed out and driven home in a campaign. When he says that his trade policies are going to protect them and help to build the industries that they work in, and then it turns out that those companies are starting to go under and all of that, that needs to be pointed out. So those are the consequential sorts of fact checking that we need to continue to do, whether we're out there engaging in politics, we're in the media, or we're on the debate stage. But it's not just Donald Trump, it is also his supporters. So how do you win those over?
How do you plan to unite such a polarized country if your policies are moving further away from where most Americans stand?
Okay, I look at it a little bit differently. That the country is polarized, I agree. And that has a lot to do with Trump's fostering a division and hatred, to be honest with you. Here's the other side of that story. Is that if you ask people in red states, conservative states, you say, do you think it makes sense to give huge tax breaks to billionaires and then cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, which is what the Republican leadership wants? You know what they say in red states? You're crazy. Of course we don't believe in that. Do you believe that health care is a right? Yeah, we do. Think we should raise the minimum wage? Yeah. So I start off from the premise that we're not quite as divided as some would think. The reality is that what goes on here in Washington is that many of the folks who come here really are not reflective, in my view, of the people they represent. They're much more reflective of the billionaires who fund their campaigns and the lobbyists.
That is 100% true, and of course, very classic Bernie. And I think that when you take as a whole what he's going to be running on, as well as his willingness to engage with Donald Trump in a more aggressive and open and I would say illuminating fashion than any of the candidates that we have in the primary right now, I think that's going to be a powerful combination. That he already, in his economic reforms, appeals to many of those people. Obviously not all, but many of those people. And he's going to be backing it up by pointing out how they have not only been lied to historically, they already knew that. They already felt that in 2016. That's one of the reasons they were looking for some alternative, but that they've been continued to be lied to and victimized by Donald Trump ever since. Now, there's additional nuance to it. I think that a more significant chunk of that base is driven by xenophobia, Islamophobia, racism, misogyny, homophobia than Bernie Sanders does. But I understand that he wants to be diplomatic. He wants to bring those people over, and he will try to do so if possible. We're talking about sort of the entry-level steps of what's going to be a very long and complex process, regardless of who the nominee ends up being. But I think that Bernie Sanders has a strong case to make that he is very well positioned to try to bring over more of those people. And in a country where elections are turned on just a couple of percentage points, The ability to do that, even to a minor degree where other candidates can't, could be extremely consequential in making sure that Donald Trump does not win re-election in 2020. Thank you very much for watching this clip from The Damage Report. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and ring the bell on YouTube to get notifications of our new videos. And of course, you can catch the full Damage Report live every weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on TYT Network on YouTube TV.